President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi convened a meeting on Monday with the Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, the Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy Mahmoud Asmat, and the Presidential Advisor for the Financial Affairs, Lieutenant General Ahmed al-Shadhili. Presidential spokesman Mohammed al-Shinawi said that the meeting reviewed the progress report of a number of projects in the field of renewable energy. He added that the Minister of Electricity reviewed the state's plan to increase dependency on the renewable energy to diversify the resources and decrease the use of the fossil fuel to achieve sustainable development. The meeting tackled the means of expanding the use of clean energy to 45% by 2028 and implementing the renewable energy projects in the upcoming 2 years. Egypt's First Lady Mrs. Intisar al-Sisi attended a ceremony dubbed the Joy of Egypt, marking the provision of marriage trousseau for 1,000 brides and grooms. She expressed joy at attending the event and sharing the feelings of happiness with the newlyweds, who are at new starts full of hope and love. The Joy of Egypt initiative provides financial support for the young men and women from the most vulnerable and the low-income families to help with the marriages. It was launched by the Ministry of Social Solidarity under the auspices of Mrs. Intisar al-Sisi. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held a meeting to follow up on the measures taken to govern and modernize the social support and the protection system. During the meeting, Madbouli pointed out that the government is working on establishing a unified social protection program that provides these services to targeted and eligible citizens in transparent and accurate manners based on verified databases. Madbouli reiterated that the proposed program is a comprehensive cash transfer system divided into tiers based on the income and the living conditions of the targeted citizens. The Premier also affirmed that the program comes within the President al-Sisi's directives to develop support mechanisms that achieve a greater balance between social justice and the economic sustainability. The meeting was attended by the Ministers of Social Solidarity and Supply and Internal Trade. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdulati started a visit to Madrid on Monday, where he met the Spanish counterpart José Manuel Alvarez on the bilateral ties and the regional and the international developments. Addressing the press conference after the talks, Abdulati hailed the Spain contribution to the implementation of the Egyptian Vision 2030 through boosting economic cooperation. He highlighted the talks reflected the deeply rooted ties and the shared ranks on the wide range of issues. The details follow. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdulati on Monday said that restoring stability in the Middle East could not be achieved but through a fair and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian cause. Egypt's top diplomat made these remarks as he addressed the joint press conference with the Spanish counterpart José Manuel Alvarez on the outcome of the talks in Madrid. Abdulati condemned the Israeli illegal settler attacks against the Palestinians in the West Bank. He stressed the necessity of completing the implementation of the U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for Gaza. The minister added that Egypt hopes for a quick resumption of the U.S.-Iranian negotiations to restore calm in the region. He denounced the unjustified attacks on the Gulf states, Jordan and Iraq. Abdulati hailed the distinguished ties binding Egypt and Spain, noting that the state appreciates the Spanish strategy on the support and development of Africa. The Spanish top diplomat, meanwhile, said that his country is coordinating with Egypt for solving regional crises, ruling out the military options for the Middle East. He pointed out that Gaza still receives the insufficient amounts of humanitarian aid, urging the Israeli side to all urgently needed aid to the Palestinians and to show respect for the international laws. He slammed the latest Israeli interception of the international Sumud 8 flotilla being a flagrant violation of the international law. On Sudan, Al-Baras said that his country and Egypt share concern over the use of the military force and the increasing flows of the weapons to the illegitimate entities in the country. He asserted greeting with the foreign minister on restoring freedom of navigation in the international and regional waters. Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati said on Monday that the diplomacy remains the optimal option for supporting regional security and stability. The minister made these remarks in a phone call that he had received from the Austrian Foreign Minister Beate Meinl Reisinger, in which he reviewed the Egyptian efforts for de-escalating conditions in the region. He stressed the necessity of preserving the safety and security of navigation at the international water routes. Egypt's top diplomat added that Gaza should not be neglected amid the current escalatory situation, asserting the significance of moving ahead with the implementation of the U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan for the war-torn territory. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdulati asserted the importance of a resumption of dialogue and diplomacy between the U.S. and Iran for ensuring peace. In a phone call with Mus'ad Boulos, the U.S. President's senior advisor for the Arab and the African affairs, the minister reiterated the Egyptian constant stance that supports Libya's unity and stability. The top diplomat said that the Libyan national institutions should be integrated and the comprehensive political settlement is reached through the Libyan truce in order to pave the way for holding presidential and parliamentary elections in the nearest possible opportunity. On Sudan, Abdulati stressed that the humanitarian truce is crucial as a preliminary step towards a permanent ceasefire that allows the flow of aid and alleviating the suffering of the Sudanese people. Over Egypt's water security file, the foreign minister rejected any unilateral measures and asserted the significance of respecting both the international law rules and the sovereignty of the region states in order to support regional stability and security. In another phone call, the Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdulati probed with the Qatari Deputy Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman joint efforts to de-escalate tensions and support truce through the dialogue in order to put an end to the crises that threaten regional stability. The two ministers tackled the developments of the negotiation track between Iran and the U.S. and asserted the need to resume the talks to end the war. The two sides agreed that all the concerned parties should adopt responsible and wise stances and depend solely on the diplomatic solutions to settle the differences in order to preserve the region's resources. Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdulati and the Saudi counterpart Faisal bin Farhan asserted the close coordination between Cairo and Riyadh over accelerating developments in the region. Over a phone call, the two ministers reviewed the efforts to refuse the escalations that drag the Middle East into a chaos that would also impact the international security and stability. The two top diplomats agreed on the need for resuming and ensuring the success of the negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. Abdulati renewed the Egyptian solidarity with Saudi Arabia and all the Gulf countries in facing any acts that threaten their security and stability. The foreign minister pointed out to the grave economic repercussions of the continued tension, reiterating the need to maintain security of navigation through the maritime corridors as a mainstay for the flow of trade and stabilizing the global economy. Egypt strongly condemned the drone strikes that targeted Saudi Arabia last night. A statement by the Foreign Ministry stressed full solidarity with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and support for all the measures it will take to preserve its sovereignty and security. The statement reaffirmed the commitment to the security of the Gulf states as a cornerstone of the Egyptian national security and the stability and security of the region. It also warned that such flagrant violations of the international laws further complicate the regional stage and obstruct de-escalation efforts. Egypt's stock market indices collectively slid in the trading session after the high rate of profit-making sales by the investors. So the benchmark EGX 30 index shed 0.68% to close at 52,007 points. The EGX 70 index for the small and medium businesses also slid by 1.51%, and the broader EGX 100 index lost 1.37% at the closure. So the market capitalization lost £31 billion to close at £3,730 billion amid transactions of about £67.7 billion.